everyone, you're welcome back to my channel. My name is Yinka. So in today's class I'm going to be showing you how to make this elegant, beautiful Bubu dress. For this tutorial I'm going to be using 4 yards because for every style you're making you need twice the length of that style with your seam allowance, of course. So for this class I'm using 4 yards of fabric and I'm going to be working with length 60, hip 42. That is just the 2 basic measurements you'll be needing for this style. You need your gown length, your hip length, and also your sleeve length, all right, because it's going to have sleeve. So let's get started. I'm using this beautiful damask fabric. This is a damask fabric. So the first step you need to do is to fold your fabric into 4 such that the upper part is going to be unfold, because there will be no shoulder joining for this style. There will be no shoulder joining. So first off, I'll fold my fabric into 2. Can you see? I'll fold it into 2 such that the upper part is unfold. Then after that I'll fold it like this into 4. So first fold your fabric into 2 such that the upper part is unfold. Then after that you fold it again into 4. It's folded into 4 and you can see the upper part, that is the shoulder part, is unfold. It is unfold, you can see it. Then after that the next thing you need to do is to measure down the length of your gown. So my length is 60, then I'm going to add my seam allowance of 2 inches, making 62 inches. So I'm going to measure 62 inches downward. The next thing I'm going to measure now is my hip circumference measurement divided by 4 plus extra 8 inches. Because this fabric, this style is just more like a rectangle. Doesn't have any shape at all. Doesn't have any, it's got no shape. All right, so what you need to measure now is your hip circumference measurement divided by 4 plus 8 inches. And you're going to measure from this folded part here. This is your center front and also your center back. So from this point, just measure your hip circumference measurement divided by 4 plus 8 inches. All right, so my hip is 42 divided by 4. That will be 10.5. 10.5, then plus 8 inches. Then I'm going to rule this line now straight all the way to the hem of my dress. From this point I'll rule it straight to the hem of my dress. So the next thing you want to do now is to measure the length of your sleeve, starting from this line that you just ruled. And if you see from the picture, the length of the sleeve is not that long, so it's a very short sleeve. So I would like mine to be 8 inches. The length of my sleeve, I want it to be 8 inches. So from here to the other side, I'm going to measure the length of my sleeve, which is 8 inches. Then of course you're going to fold the hem of the sleeve, so you add your seam allowance to that 8 inches. So I'm going to be measuring 9.5. So this 9.5 is the length of my sleeve. From this point, from this line that we ruled before to this other point is my sleeve length, which is 8 inches. Then I added my seam allowance of 1.5, making it 9.5 inches. From this line I measured the line 9.5 like this. This is 9.5. Then at this point you measure your round sleeve measurements. Your round sleeve measurements. My round sleeve measurement is 14. It's not so snug to your body, so when you're measuring it, take that into consideration. So my round sleeve measurement is 14. 14 divided by 2, that will be 7. So I'll measure 7 inches. then I'll add seam allowance. So I'll add seam allowance of 1.5 to that 7 inches, making it to be 8.5. Making it to be 8.5. So from here to here is 8.5. That is your round sleeve measurement divided by 2 plus 1.5 seam allowance. All right, the next thing now is to connect it back to this line, but because you don't want it to be hanging you on your armpits, you're not going to be connecting it directly like this. So I'll show you how you're going to connect it. So from the shoulder again, you measure your nipple point, your shoulder to nipple measurement. Mine is 10.5. So from here I'll measure the 10.5. From shoulder to this point is your shoulder to nipple measurements. Shoulder to nipple measurement. Then from here, connect it with a slight curve to meet this your sleeve. This your round sleeve measurement. You can either use your hand to do that, or you use your French curve. Can you see the way I've done it? Can we see it? All right, so the next thing we're going to be doing now is to input our neck measurements. All right, measurements. So from this folded here, you measure inward your neck width. I'm going to be using 3.5 for my neck width. Can you see? Then the depth of the back neckline, I'm going to be doing 2 inches, and then I'll connect it to the neck width this way. The back neck depth, the neck width for the both front and back, they're always the same. So the front neck depth is a V neckline. According to the style that she sent to me, it's a V neckline. So I'm going to be doing 7.5 for my neck depth in front. Then from here, I'll just connect it to the neck width. You can use your ruler. So this is it. So I'm going to be cutting this out now, and when cutting, I'm going to be cutting on the back neckline first. The back neckline first. All right, so I'll cut it this way. So this is the back neckline. All right, so I'll stop here first, then I'll cut from the sleeve, cut the side, and then I'll cut the fabric out. Note, we are cutting from the sleeve here. All right, so I'm done cutting. You can see the way it is. So the next thing you want to do now is for you to remove the inner layer. You know they are joined together on the shoulder, so just pay attention to the way I'm going to remove it. So can you see the way I've separated them? So I've removed the back out of the way. You can see this is the back neckline. So the next thing now is for you to cut off the front neckline. Hope you can see the way it is. So now I'll cut off the front neckline. Can you see? So we are done cutting. For the style, they use bias to pipe the neckline, so you can use bias to pipe the neckline, but I think I will be using facing. So I'm going to be cutting out facing for the neckline because I don't want to use bias. I don't want to be using bias, so I'll fold my fabric into 2 such that it's going to be able to accommodate my neck width, then with extra inches. So unfold. I want to do, yes, I have 9 inches on fold, so I'll just cut it. It's just a rectangle. So this is just a rectangle. Unfold is 9 inches. Unfold is 9 inches, and then the length is 23 inches. I just cut out from the pieces, so it's not as if. So fold it into 2 and then place it underneath this one. Place it underneath this one. Make sure the folded edge here align with the folded edge of the one that you place under. Can you see? So the next thing now is for you to trace the shape of the neckline out. All right. So I'm done cutting it out. So you bring it out. So all around this, you can measure for 4 inches, then you cut it out. So starting from the neckline, just measure for 4 inches all around. If you want it wider, you can do that, but 4 inches is okay for me. My facing for the neck. All right, but inside the picture they use bias, so feel free to use bias if you want. So we are done cutting. Can you see? This is our facing. All right, so the next thing you need to do now is for you to start sewing. So before you start sewing, you are going to be creating pleats. That pleat that is on the style. So we are going to be creating the pleat that is on the style. If you remember, when we were cutting, we used our hip circumference measurement to bring this out. Our hip circumference measurement divided by 4 plus 8 inches. Don't forget that 8 inches. So what you need to do now is for you to fold your fabric like this. You fold your fabric like this, and then you measure that 8 inches inside. Measure the 8 inches inward like this. Then the length of the pleat is not all the way to the hem, but you can put it all the way to the hem. But in that case, it means you will be having slits to the hem. So it's stopping, I think, around the waistline. Just a moment, let me confirm. So it's stopping around the waistline. So I'll fold my fabric back into 2. So I'll fold my fabric back so that I can note my waistline, that is where the pleat is going to stop. So from the shoulder, it's stopping around the waistline. So from the shoulder, my waistline is 17. But I can just make it stop around 18, because that 17 is looking short. So it's stopping here. You know, the same thing is applicable to the other side. But you can have the pleat all the way to the hem of the dress if you want. It's going to be fine too. So that's where my pleat is going to stop. So open everything wide like this. Open it wide. can see where my shock is for the 18 inches. So fold your fabric like this, fold it like this, then you measure that 8 inches that you added to the hip measurement. 8 inches. Yeah, this is exactly 8 inches. What you need to do now is for you to now iron this. Let it be very sharp. You iron it all the way from the hem of the dress on one side back to the other hem. All right, so we are going to be ironing that. Iron it very well. Let it be crisp. So I'm done with one side. You can see I've ironed it very well. You also repeat the same thing to the second side of the dress. You measure 8 inches and then you iron it from one hem to the second hem. So you can see I'm done ironing it. You iron it very well, let it be sharp. I folded the 8 inches, then I iron on both sides. Can you see the way it is? So you can see this is the center of our dress. You can see where my line is before now. So from here, from the shoulder downward, you measure 18 inches, or you just measure your waist length. Mine is 17, but I just made it to be 18 inches. So this is 18 inches. And also from the shoulder to this side too is also 18 inches. You can see it. It's 18 inches. All right, so the next thing you need to do now is for you to measure from the folded edge that you have here now. You measure 3 inches. You measure 3 inches and then you rule it from this point to the other point that you have there. The same thing goes for the other side. From the folded edge, you measure 3 inches. Measure 3 inches. Then you rule it from the waistline, from front waistline to the back waistline. So the next thing now is for you to go to the sewing machine. You go and sew on this line that you rule from here all the way to the second side. You do the same thing for this part also, from here all the way to this point, so that you can create that your pleat. So in my mind, it's doing me as if you guys did not understand this thing, so I'm going to explain it again. You can see that this is the way our style is. You can see we cut both the front and the back together. We cut both the front and the back together, and this is what you have. Because the shoulder is on fold, this is what you have now. You can see the way it is. We cut both the front and the back together. All right, so from the shoulder here, you measure down your waist length, because that is where that pleat is stopping. That is where that pleat is stopping. You measure from shoulder to your waist length. Mine is 17, so from shoulder I measure, I added 1 to mine because I want it to be 18 inches. So from shoulder I measure 18 inches. You see the line for the 18 inches. Just rule it. You rule it. You come to the second side too. You measure from shoulder to 18 inches. Then you rule it. Just make a mark. You can see I've made a mark here. That is the mark that is here, and the same thing is applicable here. All right, so the next thing now is for you to turn this to the wrong side. Open it up. Open it up like this. Turn it to the wrong side. You can see, because the shoulder is on fold, because we cut the shoulder on fold, so it's the length here is from the front of your dress to the back of your dress. That is the length, as I said. That's why it's this long. Can you see the way it is? So this is the way it is. And I told you the next thing you need to do, once you open it up, you can see our neckline here. Once you open it up, fold it over. Let the right side come over like this. This fold over is 8 inches. That is the extra 8 inches that we added to the divided hip measurement when we were cutting. It's 8 inches. It's 8 inches. So just fold 8 inches over like this. You fold 8 inches over. And then from 1M, you iron it flat. This 8 inches, you iron it flat very well. You should make sure it's sharp. You iron it like that. All the way from 1M to the other hem. Can you see? All the way down. You can see that we iron it, right? And it's very sharp. This same thing that you have done on this side, you will also do it to the other side. So fold 8 inches inward and iron it flat. Don't mind the sleeve. This is the sleeve here. You can see that our sleeve is still the way it is. So measure the 8 inches and iron it very well. Iron it flat. And then this is the line that we measure for our waist length, right? This is one. And then this is the one for the back. You can see from here from here to downward is the front part of our dress, and from here is the back part. So from shoulder you can see the neckline. Let me open it so that you see the neckline. Can you see the neckline? You can see the center of the neckline here. So the front neck is V. So this part here, from here downward, is the front part of our dress, and from here to this side is the back part. So you know we already folded it and iron it nicely. And you can see our mark for the waistline. The way we have it here, we have it at the back also. From shoulder you measure 18 inches downward. From shoulder you measure 18 inches downward. Hope it's clear. So what you need to do after ironing it flat, from the folded edge under your 18 inches line, you measure 3 inches inward, and then you rule it from this waist length in front to the waist length at the back. All right, then you will now take to the sewing machine. You run your stitch on this line from front waist length to the back waist length. Hope it's clear. That's it. I'll show you how to sew it on the sewing machine now. So I'm going to be sewing on my line. So from back waistline to the front waistline. Because we have ironed it, it's going to be very easy. I'm done with one side. I'll also do the second side. The fact that we have ruled it makes it very easy. Alright, so I'm done. I'll show you how it looks before I proceed, because right now we need to finish the neckline. But let me show you the effect of this on the table. Alright, so now I've joined it. I've joined it from waistline in front to the back waistline, and then if you open it, you see this is what you have. Can you see what you have? When you open it, this is the wrong side of your dress. Then from the good side, this is what you have. Can you see? The thing you will do now is to go and finish the neckline with the facing that we already cut out. Or if you are using bias, go ahead and use bias and finish the neckline. Then you hem your sleeve, fold your sleeve 2 times and sew on it. So I'll go ahead and finish the sleeve and also finish the neckline. This is my facing. This is my facing. What I'll do, I'll just fold. You can see this is the wrong side of the facing, so just fold all around the facing like this. So this is it. The next thing now is to open the neckline This is the neckline. This is the front neckline. So match the front neckline of the facing together this way and pin. You pin. And then you stitch it all around the neckline with 1/2 inch seam allowance. So I'm done stitching the facing on the neckline. So what you need to do is to notch. Make sure the center of your V, you notch it very close to the seam, but do not cut your seam. Then after that, you turn it to the wrong side and you iron it flat. So after turning it to the wrong side, this is what you have. You're going to iron it flat and put hemming gum underneath so that it's not going to be coming to the right side. All right, so I'll quickly finish the hem of my sleeve. Fold your fabric, fold the hem like this, fold the sleeve 2 times, and then this is the hem of the dress. You hem it, fold it with the number of allowance that you added. I'll also do the same thing to the second hem. Alright, so I'm done hemming the bottom part of my gown and I've put the facing. The next thing is just to close the side and then your dress is ready. So you can see our facing. Like I said, turn your facing to the wrong side after notching. Turn it to the wrong side. And then you iron it. After ironing, you put your hemming gum. Alright, so we are done. So the next thing now is to fold it this way to the wrong side. This is the wrong side of my dress. You can see this is the wrong side of my dress. So the next thing now is for you to close the side all the way down to the hem of the dress. So make sure the sleeve match together here. Then from this point you close with 1 inch. From this point I'll close it all the way down with 1 inch. I will also do the same thing to the second side. I'm done with one side. So that point that connects the sleeve to the body, you notch it so that it can relax by the time you turn it to the good side. All right, so close the second side also. Our dress is ready.